What is up, my friends? How are we? It is Tuesday night. It is the late night agenda. And I definitely was playing that guitar solo on that intro. Definitely was us. It 100% isn't AI. It's me and Connor. Nice little collaborative effort there, right? On the intro song. I have a super chat I need to get to straight away, by the way. And by the way, I am joking. I wish I had some musical talent. But I think you guys know at this stage on the channel, I definitely don't. You've heard me having to try and sing many times. Right. Let's get stuck into it. Benjamin, super chat straight away. Thank you, my friend. And Benjamin said, early super chat, but I saw your tweet and I thought Trent's exclusive with beIN Sport was a long, boring goodbye. PR mode activated. I'll be honest with you, mate. I haven't watched the entire interview. I don't run our Twitter account. We have somebody that takes care of that for us. And look, you know where I'm at with regards to Trent at the minute. I do feel like the momentum and the narrative is shifting towards potential departure, but I don't want to rain on anyone's parade or piss on anyone's cornflakes. We got to wait and see what happens on it. I think at this point it's the uncertainty that's difficult for us all to deal with. So yeah, hopefully we get some clarity on the situation as soon as possible. Look, we have a lot to go through tonight. We're going to be talking about the fallout from the Ballon d'Or stuff, of course. We're going to be giving some comparisons to our players and the person who was apparently robbed of a Ballon d'Or. We're going to be speaking about links to Viktor, Gyokeres and Carlos Baleba as well. We're going to be speaking about him. Is he going to be the alternative, as an example, for the signing in the summer Martin Zubimendi that we couldn't get over the line? So we're going to talk about that. We'll give you a bit of an update from Arne Slot's press conference where he spoke about the fitness of Federico Chiesa, Connor Bradley, Diogo Jota, Alisson Becker and Harvey Elliott, and a few other bits and pieces thrown in for good measure. So where do you guys want to start off tonight? While you're answering, I'm going to just bring up Luke's comment, and thank you, Luke. 14 months as an Ultra member with us, bro. Thank you so much. Said, hi Craig, how are you doing? I'm just wondering, why do United always sack the manager right before they play us? Chelsea fan. Oh, I know you're a Chelsea fan, Luke. We've had the pleasure of meeting, bro. I don't know, but honestly, I wouldn't be overly concerned about it. You know, looking at the two sides' form going into the game, you're playing better football. So, you know, if I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be overly concerned about facing United. Maybe they get the new manager bounce, mate, but I think it's going to take a while before Ruben Amorim will start to really impact Manchester United. Look, I do believe he's a good coach. I really do. I'm not going to come on here tonight and be lazy and start saying he's crap. He isn't. But there is a few things that we need to put right with regards to Ruben Amorim. So firstly, I want to talk about the fact that there's this narrative amongst a certain group of Manchester United fans that is once again false. Trying to spin the narrative that Amorim turned us down or we aren't able to attract him. I'm going to be really honest about this. He has been desperate for a Premier League job for a long time. And he tried to call Liverpool's bluff on a situation where we hadn't yet announced the managerial choice or who the number one target was. He went over to West Ham to try and force Liverpool into action. Liverpool were forced into action. It's just that action was announced and that Arne Slot was going to be the manager. So to any United fans that are deluding themselves even more than normal, there is no way that he turned us down. Look at the style of football that he plays, and that was the major factor. It's not that he wasn't a good coach. It's not that he wasn't on Liverpool's shortlist, but it became very clear very quickly that stylistically it was going to be just the wrong fit for Liverpool. If you compare that with Arne Slot, who came in, plays a similar style of football and suits the players we had at the club. On top of that, there was of course the links to Manchester City, and United finally have got themselves a decent coach. But there's only so much they can polish up the turds that are at Old Trafford, and let's be honest, I don't see United immediately going to a three at the back system with the centre-backs and players that they have. So I would say good appointment for United if they get this one over the line. The Portuguese Stock Exchange was informed today, because Sporting Lisbon is traded on the Portuguese Stock Exchange. They were informed that Manchester United have alerted them of their willingness to pay the release clause. The release clause, €10 million, about £8.2 million, something like that. So it looks like that one will progress quickly. Tonight, I think, is going to be his last game in charge of Sporting. They have, I believe, a League Cup game. And then it looks like he could well be Manchester United manager by the weekend. So yeah, that style of play, or that whole narrative that they're trying to kid them. They do it all the time, by the way. They do it all the time. They're so deluded. Some of them I should say. Some of them are saying, oh, he wouldn't go to City, he wouldn't go to Liverpool, but United pick up the phone and he's running over. Come on now. Like, let's be realistic in these conversations. I'm trying to do my part and say, look, he's a decent coach. But don't be giving us this nonsense about Liverpool couldn't have attracted him. Do you think that he would have preferred to go play in the Europa League with United, a stadium that needs massive investment, a team that has been pissing money up against the wall, or come to Liverpool? He would have crawled over broken glass to come and be Liverpool's manager. But it just wasn't the right fit. That's all there is to it. Craig, does Gyokeres signing mean Núñez is possibly going? So I don't know is the long and short of it. We will talk about Gyokeres tonight and why it is entirely plausible that somebody, and our name of course has been mentioned, will be getting him this summer, and for a price a good bit less than his release clause in his Sporting Lisbon contract. So we'll talk about that a little bit further along as well. So Vinny Jr., the latest thing on this disgusts me, quite honestly, and I'm going to read it out to you and then you might understand where I'm coming from. So this was from the BBC, this article, so no sensationalist website, no clickbait nonsense. The BBC. They say Brazilian news commentators described the decision to give the Ballon d'Or to Rodri as an unjust and retaliatory move, with some concluding that it was the most controversial decision in the Ballon d'Or's history. Many claim the Real Madrid player was denied the award because of his stance on the racism he faces in Spain. We all know that Vinicius is a target of racism in Spain for football and other parts of Europe, and he actively fights against racism, said Chuga Chakra, a commentator from leading Brazilian TV news Globo News. This leads us to question whether the result that gave Rodri the win was influenced by prejudice and racism towards Vinicius Jr. That is disgusting. Look, Vinicius Jr. has undoubtedly had to deal with disgusting racism at times when playing in Spain. No argument about that. That itself needs to be sorted out. But to suggest that the 100 international coaches and club captains who vote for the Ballon d'Or were in some way not voting for Vinicius Jr. because of the colour of his skin is pathetic. It is taking the whole fight against racism and turning it into a joke. Look, as I've said, he is receiving racist abuse. That needs to stop, as does any professional athlete or person receiving any type of racist abuse. But this type of behaviour just undermines that fight against racism. To just label a decision that was razor close, to say it's because of racism, because of the colour of his skin, it's pathetic, it's saddening, and it's damaging for the game of football. Look, we can all debate who we think should have won the Ballon d'Or. You can all debate who your personal player of the year was. For me, I think Rodri is a fitting winner. I don't think that Vinny Jr. deserved it personally. But either way, to play the race card here, it's disgusting. For Madrid to talk about a lack of respect, and Madrid don't go where they're not respected. This is the same club, by the way, that want to run off and ditch the UEFA competition to form and be at the head of a Super League, and they're talking about disrespect. I think that Real Madrid need to be reined in now because they're losing their damn minds. The sense of entitlement is absolutely despicable. It's mental to me that they think that they can just throw these accusations out there and do what they want, and the rest of the football world has to bow down to them. Just to give you context on this before I finish up on it, Real Madrid were supposed to have a delegation of 50 people attending the award. Now, this isn't my words. These are the words of Miguel Delaney, who was on Sky Sports last night. 50 people were supposed to be attending the awards for Madrid. And when they found out that Vinicius Jr. wasn't going to win the award, well, they threw their toys out of the pram and stopped all of them going. Despite the fact that they were given Team of the Year and Carlo Ancelotti was given Coach of the Year, they didn't bother their backsides to send anybody. If that isn't a sense of entitlement and arrogance, I don't know what is. It is disgusting. Anyway, we move on from that. For me, look, I think Rodri's an exceptional player. I think he is the best midfielder in the world, most likely. Certainly in his position, the way he plays it. And I think he's a fitting winner. So yeah, congratulations to Rodri on his award. I think it's deserved personally, so I've no issues with it. But I do have an issue with football being dragged into the gutter because people are looking for underlying racism that just isn't there in this instance. Right, So, ahead of tomorrow's game against Brighton, they're facing their own bit of an injury crisis here. So Brighton's list of injured players tomorrow ahead of our visit in the League Cup is quite substantial. João Pedro is out, Lewis Dunk is out, Minta is out, Milner is out, Webster, March, Hinchelwood and Matt O'Reilly all out. So, you know, we have injury concerns, but fair to say Brighton does as well. See how I did that, Arsenal fans? See what I did there? I spoke about the other club's injuries as well as our own injuries to give a bit of context. Wouldn't that have been nice at the weekend? It's okay. I'm continuously developing how fine content should be made. So, you're welcome, Arsenal fans. You're welcome. Right, couple of super chats that I want to say thank you for as well. Right, first one up, Harry Klein. Nunez being only 9 at the minute can Dom, Cody, Mo fill in. It is difficult looking at, like I was doing my predicted 11 for the game tomorrow and wow, it was difficult, Harry. It was difficult, bro. Especially when it came to defenders. Now, the good news is that Connor Bradley is going to be at least available for selection. So maybe that gives Arne Slot a little bit of wiggle room defensively. I had to put Nallo into my predicted 11 because I didn't want to play Van Dijk. I didn't want to play Canade. I think they need to be rested. If we were going to play Joe Gomez, I'm thinking, well, he has to go to right back if Bradley wasn't available because we've no other right backs if we want to rest Trent. It was a tough 11. But, yeah, you're right, it's difficult. And Arne Slot spoke about it, Harry. It's difficult to find an alternative for the front line now because Darwin's our only fit number 9. Stevie Boy, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Craig, do you believe that Liverpool are in for Orkun Koku? No, I don't. From my understanding of it from the people that I've spoken to, mate, no, I don't think Orkun Koku is a realistic target. Now, he's somebody we've been linked to, no doubt about that, but I think it's more a case that he worked with Arne Slot previously rather than Liverpool willing to pay the 120 million, I think it is, in his release clause. Ella, how are you, my championship winning friend? Congratulations again, by the way, Ella. And I meant what I said about that kit. It was lovely. Hope we signed Gyokeres. Loved him, a Coventry City legend, said Ella. Right, well, I guess on that, Ella, let's get into the Gyokeres story because it is an exciting one for a couple of reasons. So, you may have seen this in our video earlier on, but I want to go back over for you just in case you didn't. So, this from Florian Plettenberg said, Liverpool are one of the clubs interested in Viktor Gyokeres. Despite a release clause set at €100 million, there's an agreement that he can leave Sporting next summer for somewhere between 60 and €70 million. So if we are in need of a forward addition, it's very refreshing to see the names of Omar Marmoush, Viktor Gyokeres linked as ones that Liverpool are looking at, because I think if you spoke to most of our fans, they'd be names that are high up on our list. Not just those though, there's another name there as well, and one that I was reading through the comments in the video earlier, and a lot of you guys were happy about this link. This piece here from Alex Crook said, Brentford have slapped a £50 million asking price on informed striker Bryan Mbeumo. He's attracting the attention from the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal and Newcastle. I've got to say, 50 million quid seems fair for Mbeumo. He's had a very, very, very good start to life in the years he's been at Brentford. He's just turned 25 years of age. He is absolutely Premier League tested and proven, has a great work rate. So yeah, I think if that's the price tag they've set on him, my take on it is it's a realistic price tag. Soren, thank you so much, mate, for your super chat. Very, very kind of you, sir. Said, hi Craig, as always, you're a legend. Thank you. Don't think Amorim would have been a good fit for us, and Slot has proved that he was the right choice for Liverpool. I think he has a say in what goes on behind the scenes with contracts. So, I mentioned this to David Lynch in our video yesterday, Soren. I don't think any of us could be anything other than blown away by the start that Arne Slot has made. You know, I certainly expected a bit more of a drop-off results-wise during the opening few months of his reign at Liverpool. So I think, you know, as much as I'm critical of our ownership for various things around transfers, you know, the appointment of Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes and the decision to go with Arne Slot, I think was an incredibly good decision. So fair play to them in that regard. I think we got the right man. And look, Arne Slot is the right fit. And maybe Ruben Amorim's the right fit for Manchester United. He's certainly a good coach and an improvement on Ten Hag, in my opinion. I've always liked Mbeumo, said on Tim. Yeah, the comments around the Mbeumo link, Tim, have been really positive. You know, I was reading through them earlier on. A lot of people seemingly really do believe in Mbeumo as a good player, and I'm fully on board with that as well. You know, he's proven it week after week in the Premier League that he is right at this level. Rachel, thank you, my friend, for gifting a membership as well. Very kind of you. Now, don't worry. I did tease in the video earlier on that I was going to be talking about a midfielder tonight, and I am. I'm going to talk about Carlos Baleba in a little while, so bear with me. I will get on to that one. I just want to go through a couple of bits and pieces, actually. Somebody said, looking forward to the Red Mist podcast with Lee Gunner. Will it be posted on YouTube or will it just be audio? It will be on YouTube, mate. And if you were previously subscribed to Top of the League, we're repurposing that. So you won't need to subscribe again. But if you want to search it up, just search the Red Mist podcast. It should be up there. We haven't put anything out yet. We're going to start making the content after the November international break. We've a bit of back end stuff to figure out first. But it'll be on video format on here, and then the audio of it will be on the podcast platforms eventually. But just to start off, everything will be on YouTube. Ben Barrett, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. So I want to apologise to everybody for something yesterday. Sometimes I get paranoid that you notice these things, sometimes you don't notice them, but yesterday I wasn't myself, and I want to explain why really quickly before I move on. I found out yesterday, just about an hour or two before the stream, that a relative very close to me, somebody who I look at like a big brother, was rushed into hospital, had to have a heart procedure, had to have a stent put in, an emergency operation, and is recovering. So I found that out just before I came on yesterday, and I was a little bit shook because I was obviously concerned for my cousin who I love dearly. And the prognosis is good. He's, recovering well. But I just wanted to again give an explanation as to why, if I came across a little bit muddled up or all over the place yesterday, why that was. It was worrying news, as I'm sure you can understand. So thankfully he's making a recovery, and that is positive. So that's good news. Right, so a couple of quotes from Arne Slot from the presser today before we move on to speak about a few other bits and pieces. Oh, do you know what? Last night I was sitting here. I was messing on my phone. You might notice the sub count, right? Top corner. It's gone down to about 250. Well, last night I was on my phone refreshing YouTube Studio, and I seen the numbers start to go down in real time. Go down and down and down. And I'm sitting here going, have we been hacked? What's going on? I don't understand this. So I'm frantically trying to figure it out. And it turns out, I think they were just removing old accounts, unused account, bot accounts, all that kind of stuff. Normal stuff on YouTube. But I'd never witnessed it in real time before. So I was freaking out thinking that, everybody was hating on us for something, or we'd been breached, or I don't know, lads. It was panic stations last night. So yeah. So just in case you wonder, we're going to have to hit 289 or 79k again tomorrow during the watch along. Right. Harry, I want to get to your super chat, but before I do, mate, and I will get to it in a second, just a couple of more words from Arne Slot's presser today. Speaking about Miroslav Jarosz, see what I did there? My Hungarian friend who was teaching me how to pronounce. Actually, he's not Hungarian, is he? Sorry, he's Chechen. My apologies. Said something that has gone through my head, but I haven't made the decision yet. Also a decision to include a goalkeeping coach in that. I want to hear how fit Kwiatkowski is at the moment, as he's played many games. So we may see Jarosz tomorrow. Now, a question that keeps coming up on the channel over the last few days as well has been, has Arne Slot got any intention of loaning out Federico Chiesa back to Serie A? So we've answered this on the channel. David's answered it on the channel. Now the man has answered it himself. So asked today about a possible loan for Federico Chiesa, this is what Arne had to say. It hasn't gone through my mind at all. First is to get him fit. He missed pre-season, and in pre-season he was in low-intensity sessions where he was only training with 3 or 4 players. To go to a high-intensity league is difficult for every player. It hasn't been perfect yet, so we're trying to find the right way to build him up, and I'm fully confident that that will happen. So again there, just confirmation, he won't be going on loan to Serie A, as we've reported. Speaking about Connor Bradley, this is what he had to say. Connor is training with us again, so could be in the squad tomorrow. Jota not, Elliott not, and Allison not. Federico, I'm not expecting him to be in the squad tomorrow. It's difficult to say. He's sometimes up and down a bit. He trains a few days, then goes out again. I don't want to put days or weeks on it. We just want him to be in the best possible shape. No pressure on him. So that's kind of where we're at with the injuries. And Harry, to get back to your super chat, mate, thank you. So Harry said, Dom, so underrated. He changed the game against Arsenal. He leads the press, takes the players out of the game, creates space for Trent and Mo. He can play as a central attacking midfielder, a central midfielder, a winger, probably a false 9 too, and he's a future captain. Well, as I said yesterday, James Alcott made a great little bit of analysis around the Arsenal game and the change to our shape and the way that we played when Dom came on. And I certainly learned a lot from it. So, yeah, again, shout out to James Alcott. If you get a chance, do check out his work. John said, sorry to hear about your cousin Craig. Good he's on the mend. Oh, look, it is absolutely great that he's on the mend. And look, I guess as we all get a bit older in life, we've got to start looking after ourselves a bit more, don't we? I can certainly do it, living a bit of a healthier lifestyle. So appreciate your kindness, though. Thank you, mate. Right, so Baleba. Let's move on to talk about him, because we've had a lot of chat about players who maybe could be an alternative to Zubimendi, but we've never really been able to come up with too many credible names. Now Alex Crook has said Carlos Baleba is a long-standing target for Premier League clubs, including Liverpool. So if you look into his move there, he joined Brighton in 2023 in the summer from Lille in a deal worth around £23 million. He's 20 years of age and has already been linked with moves away from the Amex. Now, I'm going to be really honest here and say I have not paid much attention to Baleba at Brighton because, well, I haven't watched all that much of Brighton this season. So thoughts on him, firstly, into the chat. I guess this is our first poll of the night, isn't it? 1 second. Let me just get this up. Okay, so do you think Baleba would be a good fit at Liverpool is the first poll of the night, and we will let that run in the background while you guys have your say. Who's the DCM for Sporting? I'm sure we've looked at him. Isn't he the Danish guy, Hoyland? Or Hjulmand? Hjulmand, I think his name is. Sorry, I think it's Hjulmand, if I'm not mistaken. Who do you think we should sign as a new left back? I'll get to that in a minute because I actually did start doing a bit of research on this over the last day or two. So I will move on to speak about somebody who I've been looking at there, left back. 1 second. What's his name? One second. Yes, there we go. So, a left back that I've been looking at, I will move on to in a second. I was just getting some of the information up on my phone. Baleba is an exceptional young talent, one for the bench at Avenge American. Brighton again, here he goes, disaster time. Yeah, look, they've done really well replacing players at Brighton, and the model that they have is certainly producing talented player after talented player. Liver Lad said, he is good, Craig. He seems annoyed sometimes with the fact he's doing a lot of the work. He seems to be having to cover for others. I think he'd be a great signing. Thank you for that, my friend. Always appreciate the input. Right, LFC Gamer and Vlogs. Thank you, sir, for your super chat. Said, one thing I've noticed with YouTube recently, no matter how great your internet connection is, it lags like hell when you're watching a stream for most folks. Doesn't lag when it's an upload. There's certainly been some days where I've tested extensively my broadband before we start to stream on a few different frequencies, on a few different settings, and everything's been fine. And then I'll come on and get this random lag out of nowhere. So I think you could be onto something there, mate. There certainly seems to be a little bit more lack of stability recently. Live Lad said, Robinson for me from Fulham as left back. I just don't think it's feasible, mate, because of his age. You know, you're looking at somebody there who, he's either 27 or 28, Anthony Robinson, I can't remember. But you're not really going to be able to bring him in then and him to be Robbo's successor for a long time if he's only going to maybe play 2-3 years before we're questioning whether he's needing to be replaced. He's a great player, but I think his age is what counts against him in this one. So, the Liverpool channel is now on Sky Glass. Oh, I know, Harry. Somebody told me a while ago, which is great. So I now have Liverpool LFC TV back on Sky Glass. Do you know what else is also on there as an app? And I had to go searching for it and I found it accidentally. DAZN. It doesn't show up initially on Sky Glass platform, but if you go searching for the DAZN app, it is there. If you're lagging and have a good connection, you should check your NAT type is set to open. I don't understand what any of that is, Mac. Sorry, mate. That's gone right over my head. So, left back. So, the young lad that I've been looking at a little bit that seems to be spoken about as a good, promising young left back is Maxime de Kuiper from Club Bruges. Only starting to look into my research and the underlying numbers on him, but he looks like somebody we should be keeping an eye on, and maybe we are already keeping an eye on, but just from my own bit of research over the last 24 hours, trying to think of a potential Andy Robertson successor, he's maybe one that we should be keeping tabs on anyway. Mr. Shoebill said, Gyokeres is good, but I feel like we already have too much competition, especially in attack with him in. Salah's pretty much gone next year. I wonder what way the attack is going to look. Obviously, everyone's preference, and certainly mine, is keep Mohamed Salah. I think if you're talking about Marmoush or Gyokeres or somebody else, it's probably with a view to Darwin not working out, or maybe Jota moving on, or something. You know, I think we'd have to lose somebody anyway. Milos Kerkez. Kerkez is certainly interesting. 25. Who's 25? This guy? No. If you're talking about the Kuiper, then no, he's not 25. He is... Where is he? 23. 23, turns 24 in December. So, still in... Remember I said to you guys that age bracket is probably going to be up to about 24 years if we're looking at a left back. As long as you don't get Alvaro Fernandez from Benfica, we should never have sold him, said Paul. I've not heard his name come up at all, mate, to be honest with you. So, there was another link today as well to an attacking midfielder that I thought you guys might find interesting. Now, it does come from Fikahe, so take it with a massive pinch of salt, but they report that Liverpool are showing an interest in Pablo Barrios of Atletico Madrid, who has a release clause of €100 million in his contract at Atleti. Again, though, I don't see the need for that type of midfielder. You know, I know Kara said we're missing that X-Factor type player, but I'm still banking on Dom. Going to come good there. For me, I think we need that additional holding midfielder or deeper midfielder, which is where I guess the Zubamendi and now the Baleba links are coming from. Craig Lynch said, our priority in January is a left back that can play centre back. Well, he hasn't told me that, and I've spoken to him twice a week for the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So I'll ask him again on Thursday, or tomorrow. No, Thursday, yeah, today's only Tuesday. And look, we've known we've needed a left-sided centre back for a while, so it doesn't surprise me at all. We've talked about it Nuri on the channel before as well. But just somebody asked me yesterday who I would like to replace Robbo if we were to look, and I gave an honest answer and said, I don't know, give me time to have a look at it. And my own little bit of research over the last 24 hours, I like to look at this, the Kuiper guy. Why not get Alphonso Davies for a free? I'm not against it, but usually when you're talking about a player like that who, you know, is going to be moving on a free, big signing on bonuses usually involved there. You know, we think of it as free, but it's not. I'm not saying we shouldn't be looking at him. I'm just saying it's not going to be a free transfer. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of money involved in that for wherever he goes. Cody, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Said, I'm worried about Amorim to United. I can't lie. So, he's a good manager. I'm not going to try and say he isn't. But to be brutally honest about it, it once again feels like a situation where United have just gone for the flavour of the month over substance. And what I mean by that is, look at Manchester United's team. And outside of maybe 2 or 3 of them, I don't know how they're going to fit into the style of football that Amorim is very dedicated to playing, namely with 3 at the back most of the time. United's centre-backs are a shambles as it is. Imagine having 3 of them as your defensive line. I just don't know if the personnel that's at Manchester United is going to suit Ruben Amorim's system. I think United fans should be excited if he comes, absolutely, but I think it's going to take a while. I'm probably going to have a bit more investment again in the transfer market for United. Obviously, there's one player there in particular, Ugarte, who's probably absolutely buzzing at the idea of Ruben Amorim going into United. But outside of that, Højlund is another one that'll probably benefit. Maybe Bruno Fernandes, but I just think they've gone for a name rather than the right fit for the style of football that they want to play. Personally, that's just my take on it at the minute. But he is a very good coach, no denying that. How's Trent's contract? I have not got a clue, mate. I don't know at this, I've got my own feelings on it, of course, but, they're just, they're worthless, really. They're just one man's feelings. If I was to put my cards on the table now about Trent, as each day goes by, I'm flip-flopping. 2 days ago, I think he's nailed on to go to Madrid. Today, after all of Madrid antics and cry arse, and I'm wondering, is he maybe seeing through the whole Madrid thing now and starting to see that maybe it isn't going to be the grass is greener? But truly don't know. I don't know at this point what's going to happen. And I think even when you speak to fellow Liverpool fans, there's a lot of optimism and then a lot of pessimism. I don't know. I can only repeat what I've said before, that this is a disgrace that we're in this position as a club, that we've allowed Trent to get to this point where a local boy at the peak of his career is potentially able to walk away for nothing. And, even removing the disappointment from it, I can't understand how the club have allowed it to happen. I'll never be able to figure that one out. Look, if he stays and they agree an extension with him, that's all well and good. But if he doesn't, I think serious questions have to be asked of why. And how can you let a player that's probably valued at 80 million to 100 million, if he has 2 or 3 years on his deal, how can you let that player just go for free? How can you let that situation develop? I don't know. It's madness. Lucas said, Craig, I don't know if you talked about it, but how embarrassing was Madrid's stunt? Oh, mate, I opened tonight's show talking about it. It is embarrassing. It's even more despicable that some journalists in Brazil are trying to claim it's racism. That's the part that is like the cherry on the icing of the humiliation that Madrid should be feeling from the whole way that they've handled this. It's just despicable. Are Liverpool not looking at Ederson from Atalanta? Nope, not that I'm aware of. I've always said Ederson was my choice. But when I've spoken to journalists, I think we've looked at him, but they don't feel he's stylistically the right fit for the way Arne Slot wants the position to be played. Now, I do still strongly disagree. I think he could. But yeah, I'm only able to tell you what I'm being told, and what I'm being told is no, he's not. What's your opinion on Semenyo from Bournemouth? Very good. Very good. Certainly a player who Richard Hughes will know about, So, if there's any players at Bournemouth, I'm sure Richard Hughes will know all about them and have a dossier on them and, have contact for them and whatnot. So, yeah, certainly a good name for the future, but what I found mad about the whole racism thing was, so the Brazilian journalists that are claiming this are claiming that it was racism from the rest of Europe and the world towards a player who everybody acknowledges has been racially abused in Spain. So they're trying to paint a picture that he's been racially abused in Spain. So the punishment for that is the football world to say, well, no, we can't give the guy who's standing up against racism an award. Like, it just doesn't logically make any sense. It's mad. Everybody is disgusted by the racist crap that he and other black players have had to put up with, and other players of other ethnicity have had to put up with. Nobody should have to. But I think if we're being really honest about these conversations, there's also something to be said about resorting to that as a get out of jail free card if you're looking like an idiot. Too many times I've had the race card played on me on this channel for having an opinion. And I've seen it done to other people as well. And that to me is equally as damaging. Maybe not as equally, sorry, but is damaging towards the fight to remove racism. Because it's a get out of jail free card for some people. Oh, well, it couldn't be that X, Y, or Z isn't good enough, or it couldn't be that it's racism. People are too quick, too easy to jump on that and try and point the finger. It's disgusting. Any other club other than Madrid would have been annihilated by the media if they acted like this, said Rohan. So there's not just that, Rohan. There's the fact that this is the club who's talking about respect. Talking about Real Madrid not going where they're not respected. And at the same time, sticking two fingers up to the Champions League by telling the world they want to go and join the Super League. And they want to be founders of the Super League. And they have the cheek. Florentino Perez has the gall to talk to the rest of the football world about respect? Respect? Are you fucking mad? Have you seen the Koku links for Jan? Yeah, I've been told there's nothing to them. The Urgan Koku stuff has been there a while. And there was some talks, some comments from his father actually recently that, I think somebody vaguely floated the idea to him that maybe his son could end up working with Arne Slot again, and he said, sure, why not? But, when I've spoken to David Lynch and I've spoken to a couple of other journalists about it, no, not really getting the vibes that it's likely realistic or the right fit, maybe. Oh, so let's look at some of the numbers, by the way. So here's some numbers for you that I think you'll find interesting. 1 second. So, a couple of numbers around the Ballon d'Or runner-up. So Rory Talks Football put up a good post that I want to highlight. Said, Mo Salah is the most disrespected player in Ballon d'Or history. I know football isn't all about goals and assists, said Rory, but there's an outrage that Vinicius Jr. didn't win the Ballon d'Or with 35 goals and assists. Salah's worst season, again, I'm going to say that again, Salah's worst season at Liverpool was 37 goals and assists. Last season, he got 39 goals and assists and wasn't even in the top 30 list on the Ballon d'Or. That's a shocker. Not even top 30. That is absolutely shocking. His best season was 59 goals and assists, and he still only came 6th on the Ballon d'Or list. The question is, why is he so disrespected? I think it's a valid point. I'm not saying Mo deserves to win a Ballon d'Or, but certainly to not have Mohamed Salah even in the top 30 at the minute just feels weird. And here's another one for you. Darwin, the flop, Núñez in 2023-24, 36 goals and assists. Vinicius Jr., I should have won the Ballon d'Or in 2023-24, 38 goals and assists for club and country. So, the flop, 36 goals and assists for club and country. The golden boy who was robbed of a Ballon d'Or, 38 goals and assists. See how a narrative can be formed there really quickly. One's a flop, and the other's been robbed of a Ballon d'Or. Nuts. I think Gravenberch and Baleba could be a good mix. Baleba could be a good mix in the middle with Alex in the number 10 role, said Liver Lad. The Ballon d'Or ever been really about a good individual trophy? Look, I stopped giving a shit about it when Van Dijk didn't win it. I'll be really honest with you. I understand that maybe the vote was split because we had 3 really outstanding performers that year in Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk. But I lost faith when Van Dijk didn't win that award because he deserved to win it, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think... Again, I can only repeat what I've said. I think it's pathetic for Madrid. It's kind of crazy. International play is weighted so heavily in the Ballon d'Or conversation. Some amazing players and horrible country teams. I know. And again, you would say, if you're looking at club football only and trying to give it to Vinicius Jr., well, Haaland's absolutely dwarfed those numbers. And, nobody's crying about him. I don't know why Madrid can't just look at this and go, well, I think it was the first time in 40 years, if I'm not mistaken, I think 24 years, sorry. First time in a long, long time that a Spaniard has won the Ballon d'Or. And the Spanish club are cry arsing about a Spaniard winning the Ballon d'Or. That just feels weird. And most of the people I've spoken with, and I will definitely put myself in this camp, feel that Rodri is a deserving winner. What he did with his club, we all know our feelings on City, but for him as a player, tremendous. Again, with Spain internationally, tremendous. Except when he went to Scotland, by the way. So well done, the Scots, on that one. First time in 63 years, said Wanga. There you go. And they're cry-arsing about it. Morton said Rodri or Carvajal. Look, again, Carvajal has every right to be in and around that conversation. Again, a great international and club season. A very good player. A great servant to the game. A great servant to Real Madrid. And a top talent. But it was close. Like, this is one of those few years where it never really felt like there was a clear, outstanding runaway candidate. Andre said, look, maybe Vinny deserved it, maybe he didn't, but I'm so happy how angry Real Madrid fans are. They're the worst fans in the world and nothing makes me happier. Yeah, I agree. They're not great. They're so entitled. They're so disrespectful of players that they think aren't even good. Like, they didn't want Bellingham. I keep talking about this. They didn't want Bellingham. They kept saying how they didn't need him, how he was overrated, how he was English hype. Didn't want them. Now, he came in, does great for a season, they're all in love with him, doesn't score yet this season, and they're all out waving the white hankies again, trying to get rid of him. Madness. So, according to, and again, take this with a pinch of salt because it's a Spanish outlet, according to Sport, Trent Alexander-Arnold has rejected many contract extensions from Liverpool and his intention is finding a new challenge, but Real Madrid are not the only club interested in signing him. I'm sure they aren't, but I can say as a Liverpool fan, if he went to any other club that wasn't Real Madrid, this whole narrative of I can somewhat understand it will go out the window. Because they are probably the only club I think anybody could look at and say, potentially a step up. Potentially a big move in my career. Fair enough. I'll give you Real Madrid. But if it's any other club, I'm not having it. Because, look, I'm not having it anyway. Because Trent should want to stay here, captain the club in the future and finish and retire a legend. But, I can't make the man's mind up for him. James sends his love at the moment he's in Brighton. Nice. Is he going to the game tomorrow? Sweet. Hope it goes well. George said, Craig, do you think we'll get Zubimendi in January or move for him in January? Been wanting him all summer. It's a shame he didn't come. I honestly don't know the answer. All I can repeat is if he wants to come, the club will make it happen. But I'm not seeing anything to suggest he's changed his mind. You know, we can talk about the fact Liverpool will do it again, but I've not seen nothing to say he's going to change his mind. So, Rusba said, did the lettuce outlast Ten Hag? No, it didn't, unfortunately, mate. Ten Hag beat the lettuce, but was beaten by a potato. So, you know, 1-0 to Ten Hag, but then the potato equalised it up. So, no, yeah, he did beat the lettuce, yeah. The lettuce didn't outlast Ten Hag. He won that one. What is the price tag for Baleba? You know, I've not seen one. Let me just check through my notes again. Yeah, no, not seen one. Which, of course, is important. You know, they bought him for about 23 million from France in 2023. So I don't know what maybe the valuation would be now. Rowan said, Madrid is now full of players who are desperate for a Ballon d'Or. Mbappe, Jude and Vinny. Absolutely. And also, they're full of players who just had their ass handed to them by Barcelona at the Santiago Bernabeu by 4-0. So, how does that feel, Madrid fans? Do you think Liverpool will buy, sell players this winter? I can't imagine sales, really, Kevin, to be honest with you. The only way I can envision a sale would be, let's say, as an example, Joe wanted out and we found a centre-back that we thought could do a job. Or Liverpool found a left-back and thought that we could move one of our left-backs on. So sales, I'm not really expecting any in January. Incomings, I hope so. But again, I'm going to be honest and say, I understand that it's more difficult to do business in January, and I don't really have the same expectations that I would have in the summer. But I also think now we have to keep an eye on the injury situation, because this season feels like an opportunity. City are still at the top of the league, but certainly I don't think as formidable a force. We've already built up a 4-point lead over Arsenal and played them at the Emirates. So I certainly hope, if there's an opportunity to strengthen, that the owners look at the trajectory of the season and think, yeah, if the right player's there, bring them in, and who knows, maybe we can win one of the two big ones this year. We need to sell Chimikas and Jones and hopefully Endo. Sorry, you do say just for Endo's sake. Sorry, I don't want to do you dirty there at the end of your comment. I can't see Jones being sold. I can't see that happening. Costas, I think only if a suitable offer came in that worked for Costas, and of course Liverpool had a different left back signed up. But it still feels like that's probably more of a summer thing, because you want your backup left back to get used to the way that you play. And Costas, you know, is used to the way that we play from, you know, the slight differences from Arne and Jurgen, but ultimately is used to the style of football that Liverpool play. Tom, thank you so much, Tom, for your super chat. I really appreciate you. So Coutinho should serve as a reminder for Trent. Yes, but I think it's also deeper than that, because there's other reminders that I would say, personally, mate, are a little bit more fitting. So look at Steve McManaman. Look at Michael Owen. Players who left Liverpool to go on to Real Madrid. But the big difference, I would say, and again, to follow on from Jamie Carragher on this, is that Liverpool weren't challenging then. Liverpool aren't what they are now then. So, you know, you can understand Steve McManaman feeling like he wants to go and win stuff. And maybe Liverpool weren't in the right position. Now, look, we all feel disappointed that these players don't stay at their club. But at least you can see intent there as to why. Liverpool right now feel to me like a club that any player could realistically feel like trophies are likely. Not maybe a clean sweep or anything, but certainly you're going to pick up trophies. You're going to be challenging for the big ones. So I don't think that can be an excuse to walk away. So it's Trent's decision to make, and we can all chirp in and have our say, and we can listen to other people's. But until we know what's going on here, it's just a distraction. And that's the other part of this I keep coming back to. It's all very well and good, everybody saying not to panic and, waiting, but it is a distraction. It is uncertainty that isn't really good for anyone. It's not good for potential incoming players because they don't know if they're going to be playing with a Trent, a Virgil, a Mohamed Salah. It's not good for the fans. It's not good for, I guess, sponsors probably on top of all of that. It's just not good to have this uncertainty. Thoughts on Bradley, Canade, VVD and Aït-Nouri being next year's back four? It's not an impossible scenario. So the way I feel about Conor Bradley is, I've no doubts Conor Bradley is going to be a top caliber right back, but I'd be lying if I said to you I feel he's ready right now to play every single week. I don't. I still think he's got more development to come. So if we lost Trent, I still think we need to be concerned because yes, there's other young options, Calvin Ramsey who's gone out on loan, but ultimately we need to make sure we've got a bit of experience there to cover the right side as well. So if Trent left, I really don't know what to expect from the club at right back. Do they go out there and bring in somebody 26, 27? Again, to get the experience, contrasted against Bradley's young enthusiasm and energy. Difficult one. Let's have some context, Craig. Most of Darwin's came in the Europa League. Yeah, I get that, of course, and context is certainly important. But let's again look at Salah's numbers over the years and seeing that, like, even in his worst season, those goals and assists are better than Vinicius Junior's in his I should have won the Ballon d'Or season. Right, let's check back in on the poll. So we asked you, would Carlos Baleba be a good fit at Liverpool? So far, 70% of you guys have said yes, and 30% have said no. I'll leave that up till we get past 1,000 votes. And for those of you who are coming in that don't know what we're speaking about, there's a report from Alex Crook that said Carlos Baleba is a long-standing target for Premier League clubs, including Liverpool. Plays for Brighton Hove Albion, and signed for them in the summer 2023 from Lille in a deal worth about 23 million quid. He's 20 years of age and he's already starting to be linked with moves to, with no disrespect intended, to Brighton, bigger clubs. So I don't know much about Baleba. I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched much of him. I haven't, but Brighton have a habit of picking up good midfielders in recent years. Kevin said, I feel like VVD will be the only one out of the three to get an extension. So I kind of go back and forth on this one, Kevin. At the moment, I'm feeling like Salah and Virgil are the ones I think are most likely, and Trent will leave. Last week, I would have thought Trent was likely, Virgil was nailed on, and Salah may be the one that they don't agree an extension with. But here's another thing that's pissing me off. You know, we talk about there being plenty of time to get the 3 deals done. But surely you could get one of them done. Like, how have we not got one contract extension over the line yet? This baffles me. It's all very well and good and great seeing about the Canades, the Kwanzas of this world and whatnot. Seeing Leone sign his first pro contract there, that's all great news. But you mean to tell me we can't get one of these 3 contracts sorted from the summer to now? We can't get one extension sorted. Even for Virgil, who looks like he couldn't really do anymore to show that he wants to stay. That pisses me off. Why are we dragging our heels on it? Like, it feels like this is basically a game of brinksmanship where nobody wants to blink first. Nobody wants to show their hand to see what they want from a contract situation. Everybody feels like, okay, well, let's say Virgil signs and then Mo signs, and Mo gets more money than maybe Virgil got as an increase or something, that somebody's going to feel annoyed about it. Just get one done. Jesus, just get one done so the fans can start to relax a little bit. VVD as captain will be very difficult to replace. If we lose VVD, we'll basically be Chelsea. I cannot see why you wouldn't give Van Dijk an extension of at least 2 years. You know, if this was the season after he did his ACL, I'd understand maybe a pause, but he's come back from that ACL, had his bit of an up and down period, had a good season last year, has had a very good start to this season, forming one of the best partnerships of central defence certainly in the Premier League. And I just can't get it. It just should be done and dusted. Should be done quickly. You know, he wants to stay. I'm assuming the club aren't idiots and want him to stay. Get it done. Get it done. Unless, and this won't wash, but Liverpool fans don't want to get this as our instead of January targets stuff. That's not going to wash either. Like, we've been fooled with that crap before. Don't think that you announce a contract extension and everybody forgets about the need for transfers. That isn't going to happen either. Why do you hate on Mo Salah so much? Me? I think you've lost your damn mind. I think you have absolutely lost your little mind. Do you want to rewind back the stream to us talking about Salah being hugely disrespected? Do you want to go back and watch any of the streams over the past few months where I've spoken about Salah being disrespected? I don't know where you get it from. I'm either racist and I hate him, or I go over the top according to others and I love him. I can't win around the Salah situation, so I'm not even going to really try to justify myself, mate. Especially from somebody whose account I've never seen before, who is clearly on a wind-up. So, why do you have such a small cock? That's what I want to know. Craig, can we have a poll? Who's the easiest to replace, Mo, Trent, or VVD? Yeah, if that's a poll you want, no problem. I want to just get this poll to 1,000 votes first, so do keep voting on it if you haven't on Baleba, because I'd like to get a good sample size on this one. It will wash with all the journalists and content creators who have access to the club. John W. Henry fan group. Look, I'm going to try and be pragmatic about this. I can't control what other people do with their content. I can't control what they speak up on, what they don't speak up on. But I know what you're on about. A lot of these have shown their true colours. A lot of them are brown nosers. A lot of them are arrogant towards anybody that isn't from Liverpool. And I've had to be at the tail end of some of this bullshit over the years. So I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm continuously going to call out what I think needs to be called out. And I'm continuously going to credit what I think needs to be credited. And people have often tried to label me as over the top, toxic, unstable, lots of shit that I've dealt with over the years. And then I ask them, have you watched the channel? And they say no. Most of the time they say no. I've seen your thumbnail or I've watched the clip. And then they think they know everything about you. So I'll keep doing what I think needs to be done on behalf of my community. And I don't care if it costs me opportunities or access, because you're here for me and I'm here to represent you, your thoughts and your beliefs. And if I think John W. Henry and the owners need to be called out for a lack of spending, then guess what? I'm going to be calling them out for a lack of spending, as I always have done. Mohammed said, Craig, you're just being honest about Mohamed Salah. I always value your opinions about him and others. Keep up the good work. Thank you. It's just bait, mate. It's just bait, honestly. You know, people just come in to try and throw a grenade in and run off, like to try and get you to go on tilt or get angry. And sometimes it works on me and sometimes I'm just in a good mood and it doesn't. And today is one of those I'm feeling blessed kind of days. So, fuck him, basically. Not Mo, sorry. I mean, the guy who came in earlier. Daniel said, it's your honesty that keeps making us watch you. Look, my view is this. I think you will struggle to find any other fan channel from the Liverpool family who does more to connect to their community, to support their community, to give back to their community, to try to put across the ethos of you'll never walk alone, to try and invite everybody in, no matter what nationality, race, religion, sexual orientation, what part of the world you are from when you started watching the club. Everyone's welcome here. If people are too fucking lazy to figure out what we're about and want to judge us from the outside, then fuck them. I don't care. Whether that's the club, other content creators, fuck them. If you want to be lazy about it and judge us, my community, go right ahead. Or you could come in and give us a try and you'll see that we're good people. So, more news to get through because it's been a busy day. This one kind of threw me a little bit. I wanted to get your take on it. So, a Dutch outlet, The Telegraph, journalist Marcel van der Kraan, whose name you've probably seen before, said Salah was cursing in the summer about all the stuff Slot wanted him to do. You're crazy, he said at one point, about the demand Slot had. I heard this from guys that were at the training camp. Slot has been very busy with him and Nunez to make sure they both play evenly. You know what winds me up about this? So people will be quick to shout down a fan channel and say we're full of shit, or we're baiting, or we're toxic or negative. How many fake news stories do we see around Liverpool Football Club and these people still get accreditation, access, and they lie? Do I for 1 second believe that Mohamed Salah was cursing and moaning about Arne Slot, asking him to do a lot of work? No, I don't believe that for 1 second. So this guy said, I heard this from guys that were at the training camp. Who? Because I'm sure Liverpool would like to know if somebody's out there blabbing or leaking stuff from a training camp. I'm sure the club would like to know exactly who that is. So how about calling this guy out? Because that's a lot worse than anything we've ever done, or any fan channel I've seen from a Liverpool content perspective has ever done. Where's his bullshit? And I just don't believe Mohamed Salah is that guy, by the way. I think if Mo had any issues around workload or intensity, he'd knock on the manager's door respectfully and give his viewpoint across. And, you know, look at the man. That's the way he acts. That's the way he carries himself. He's very respectful. He's very measured. I just think it's bullshit, to be honest. So, Arne Slot has been speaking a little bit about Wataru Endo and praising him. And this is what he had to say. I really liked him against West Ham, and what I respect about him is his personality. Twice he had to come in with only 5 minutes to go, and in my managerial career I sometimes see players who come in 5 minutes before, have a downturned face and play like that too. But every time when we needed him, even if it was for 5 minutes, he shows up for the team and for himself. So I think for that reason he deserves to play tomorrow. That's great to read, and it speaks to the calibre and of the man that Wataru Endo is. That he is just a thorough professional. You know, just shows up, does his work, understands that his opportunities might be limited, but also appreciates the size of the club he's at and the players that are around him and ahead of him in the pecking order. So, big up to Wataru Endo, and well done to our gaffer for highlighting as well the professionalism there of Wataru. Steve, you said, and by the way, what I said about the content creators with access, you're the only Liverpool content creator I watch, as I love how you call out the owners just for not delivering. Much love. Thank you. Look, I can only give my honest views on things, and that's what they are. I don't say anything to be sensationalist. And I hope that people understand as well that I will credit our owners when I think they need to be credited. I'm not a hater, but my true belief is that they're cheap. How come will Mo moan on workload? That guy's ripped. Exactly. Mo is an animal, a machine. Yeah, I can't imagine for 1 second that he's moaning at a coach who's trying to improve him. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think Marcel van der Kraan needs to either start talking a little bit more about exactly who it is that's been leaking, or Liverpool need to have a look at the coaches and ask who's leaking this stuff to him. Any comment on Marcus Palawa? LFC are closed and former Bayern Munich transfer guru. And mate, I don't know. J Muse, mate. Honestly, sorry. I don't know. I have no idea about that, mate, at all. I'm not saying it isn't true right now. I just don't know. Right, so we're nearly there with Baleba. We're up to like 880 votes. It's been up long enough, so I think we'll call it on that one. So 68% said yes. So next poll, what do you guys want? Do you want me to ask the one that was asked earlier on, who would be the easiest to replace? Or do you want me to ask a particular player and whether he's going to go or stay? I'll let you guys put some suggestions in the chat. Stargirl, how are you? This is not to disrespect United. I'm surprised that any big name manager would go to them. It's not a well run club. Jose Van Gaal found difficulties. I agree. And even after bringing in Omar Barada and the other guy from Newcastle, you know, I think people are forgetting that Jim Ratcliffe hasn't exactly been a raving success with Nice either. You know, I'm not saying he's done terribly there, but his expertise in football is minimal. So he is relying on a lot of other people and delegating. So I'm similar. I wouldn't touch the United job. But maybe Ruben Amorim feels he's that good of a coach that he will be the guy. You got to kind of credit somebody with those balls as well, to be fair. You know, I've spoken previously about the fact that I didn't want the next Liverpool manager to come in and be scared of taking over after Klopp. I wanted somebody to come in and feel like, I deserve to be here. I'm the right man. I'm going to continue on. And I think with United, you got to have the balls to go in there and go, I'll put this right. I'm going to be that guy. Because if they do, if somebody comes in there and eventually does deliver a league title or a European Cup, they are an icon at that club then straight away again. You know, so you can see the appeal of it, but it is a risk. Easiest to replace, no problem. That's the one that you wanted, no problem. Let me go through and put that up for you. 1 second. Bear with me, folks. So I got a new boom arm, by the way, and it's class. My old one I had for a couple of years. I got a new one because Elgato had a sale on, and it's class. Really, really good. It's got so many more functions and angles and bending than my last one. 1 second. Right. So, who's the easiest to replace? Trent, VVD, or Salah? And I'll leave that poll running and you guys can have your say. Sorry for the question. What's the difference between cheap and stingy? None. I mean stingy. Sorry. Same thing. Deirdre, sorry. Again, I keep forgetting that we do have people who are far more intelligent than me and can speak multiple languages, but maybe don't get the intricacies of colloquial talk. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, stingy, cheap, miserly, scabby, as we'd say here in Ireland. Yeah, that's sorry. You're spot on with your assessment. That's what I meant. Mahmood said Trent, obviously. Well, I would argue, honestly, that right now, Verge is the most difficult to replace. If you ask me, I'm not saying Trent isn't going to be a loss, but if you were to take a player out of our team right now and it to have a big impact, I would say Virgil would be my answer on that one. Because defensively, those improvements have helped us to challenge. And Virgil and Ibu have been incredible as centre-back. So I would say Virgil at the moment. But look, replacing Salah is going to be no easy feat either. So yeah, it is a difficult poll. Easiest to replace, not hardest. Sorry, easiest to replace. Yeah, you're right. That's me being silly again. Sorry. Yeah, easiest to replace, I would say, is Trent. Yeah, so I agree. So we're all in agreement. Yeah, I didn't even know my own poll. There you go. So yeah, I would say agree. Easiest to replace. Yeah, I would think Trent is probably the answer there. Albeit, that's still a massive player to replace. Rowan said, honestly, Salah seems irreplaceable. No one in the market gives his numbers with that level of fitness. And yeah, and robustness as well, mate. And availability for the manager. You know, he's pretty much bulletproof, Mo, with fitness. You had a blonde moment there, Craig. Oh, honestly, it's my poll and I didn't even know the question, like. But again, I'm glad that you guys are here to point it out to me, to go, hey, moron, stop being a moron. Claudia said, I think it's not always the manager's fault for United's downfall. I think it's all the new signings that have finished United's culture and club legends. They barely even get time to prove themselves. There's a few different parts to it, Claudia, and I agree with you. I don't think it's certainly just down to managers. I think it's down to the dressing room at times as well. And you know, Claudia, what really wound me up? So when Ten Hag got the sack yesterday, and you see all the players coming out and going, oh, cheers, Gaffer. Oh, I'll always remember you. Oh, such a sad day. Oh, such a sad day. At the same time, not putting in a shift for him. That hypocrisy. And also, why are you posting on social media about it? Do you know what I mean? Just tell the man yourself. Why you go, oh, look, I need all the clout. Oh, I'm so sorry. Whoa, I'm so sorry to see you go, Gaffer. Hey, how about this? Hello? Eric, really sorry, mate. Thanks for everything you did for us. Really appreciate you. Sorry? Oh, I should make this public because I need all the credit for it. All right, fair enough. I find that weird. Like, ring him. Tell him. Don't just put it on social media. Ring the man and tell him if you're grateful. Didn't see the poll on anything with the hair being in the eyes. So I do have one, what my wife calls unicorn hair, that just grows out of the middle of my forehead. So maybe that got my eyes. How do you think De Ligt feels? The only reason he joined United was because he thought it was back with Ten Hag. He's made some questionable career choices for me, Matthias De Ligt, ever since he left. Other than Bayern Munich, I'll give him that one. But when he went to Juventus after he left Ajax, I thought that was a terrible move for Matthias De Ligt. I didn't understand that at all. Not everyone's a genuine person like you. Thank you, mate. Yeah, I've learned that the hard way over the years, particularly in the industry I'm in. I was very wet behind the gills when I started, and I stupidly believed that everybody wanted to work together and it was, you know, enough for everybody to thrive. And then I found out really quickly that people are willing to work with you until you have any type of success, and then a lot of the doors get slammed shut because they want it to be a closed shop so they can look out for themselves and their little pals and their little cliques, and it's been tough. And I think if you spoke to a lot of content creators in the club content game, you probably get the same thing. It's difficult. But I got lucky and I have the greatest community on YouTube, in my opinion. I don't know what I've done to deserve the group of people that we have in here. Ashley, how are you, bro? Said, for me, Rodri deserves the Ballon d'Or, but how was Salah not even on the shortlist? It's mad, mate. You know, I agree with you. I think Rodri's a deserving winner. But for Salah not to be in the top 30 players in the world, there's something weird about that. Like, if you go through that list and you see some of the players that have made the short list, there's no way that I'm going to ever cede or concede that they've had a better year than Mo last year, or that they're more deserving to be on there. I think we touched on a post earlier on from a guy on Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called these days, because I'm not on there, so... A guy called Rory Talks Football, and I think Rory's post is very informative, to be fair, and very well thought out. So Rory said, Mo Salah is the most disrespected player in Ballon d'Or history. I know football isn't all about goals and assists, but there's outrage that Vinny Jr. didn't win the Ballon d'Or off a 35 goals and assists season. Salah's worst season at Liverpool was 37 goals and assists. Last season, Mohamed Salah got 39 goals and assists and wasn't even in the top 30. His best season was 59 goals and assists, and he still only came in 6th. The question is, why is Salah so disrespected? Now, there is context needed to the goals and assists, different competitions, different levels at times, and last year we were in the Europa League. But I think the point of what Rory is saying there needs to be looked at a little bit more. He has been disrespected. He has been underappreciated by the greater footballing world. And I think there's something to what Rory mentioned. Now, on top of that, another interesting stat that we mentioned at the start of the show was LFC Transfer Room put up a very good post where they said Darwin the Flop Núñez in 2023-2024, 36 goals and assists for club and country. Vinny, I should have won the Ballon d'Or in 23-24, 38 goals and assists for club and country. 2 more than somebody who we're supposed to believe is a flop. Again, narratives are important in the football world. Mark, thank you for gifting a membership, bro. Appreciate you. Is Independent reliable on X? No. It's actually a parody account. Well, certainly when I was on Twitter, it was a parody account. I think they've tried to cross over into serious stuff, but I look at it this way. I struggle to believe anybody who doesn't have to put their face to their work. So that account could be run by one person, 20 people, 50 people, a 10-year-old, a 50-year-old, a man, a woman. I don't know. So I never, ever, ever want to believe an account that has no face to it. So you can talk about us, Anfield Agenda, but I'm here every day. Or LFC Transfer Room. Their lads are in front of the camera or putting their names to their articles. I just, for me, no. I wouldn't put any faith in it. Indicala model worked for him. You see, that there just shows how little you know about the account. To the best of my understanding, that account has been sold at least twice. Open to be corrected on that, by the way. But to the best of my understanding, yeah, that account has been bought and sold a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken. And Núñez doesn't play every game like Vinny. Exactly. Again, I'm not trying to say they're fair comparisons, but it shows you how the context around Darwin has been. Like, there's more crap about Darwin being a flop than there is about Anthony at United being a flop. And one of those is an actual flop. And cost pretty much similar amounts of money. Jay Mew said KFC or Popeyes. I've never had a Popeyes. Never had one, mate, so I couldn't tell you. I did have, what's the other one called? Chick-fil-A. I had a Chick-fil-A once, and ooh-wee, that was good. Waffle fries were nice as well. Harry said, I've just seen on LFC Transfer Room that Liverpool admire both Eze and Mateta. We don't need an Eze, in my opinion. I think we have that position filled. Mateta, not for me at Liverpool. But I don't really know how to answer it, because what does admire me? And again, I like LFC transfer. I'm not, again, trying to go in on them or anything, but admire means what? Like, I admire Mila Kunis, but, you know, she's not going to be there when I wake up tomorrow morning. Mark, thank you for gifting another membership, mate. Very kind of you. Fawzi, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, mate, sorry. Can we talk about how biased Gary Neville is when commentating? He's so obnoxious to listen to when commentating for Sky Sports, calling out every Liverpool player for any mistake. I agree. And I think many Liverpool fans agree, mate. And there's been a few articles written about this. So, the Arsenal game on Sunday, obviously I watch the games in silence because I'm on here and I'm doing a watch along. But apparently, when Liverpool scored their equaliser, the second one, there was silence from Neville. But when Saka scored the opening goal, he needed tissues. So, make that make sense. Like, sometimes I wonder why Sky subject us to it. Like, it's clear that Neville can't cover a Liverpool game without showing over-the-top bias against us. Not justified a lot of the time. He was calling our players simulators, divers and cheats a couple of weeks ago, when he's often lauded Harry Kane for the same stuff because, you know, that's clever and the dark arts. But Salah getting kicked from pillar to post one week to the next and not getting any calls from the referee, and Neville's wanting him hung, drawn and quartered here and thrown in front of a committee for diving. Like, it's pathetic. And he's capable of so much better as a pundit. Like, there's no denying Gary Neville's knowledge of football. And there's no denying the quality of the man's work when he's speaking subjectively and fairly about football. But when you bring United or Liverpool into the conversation with him, he's incapable of thinking with a clear mind. And that's grand if you're a fan or making fan content, but you're not. You're there, and he has the platform to influence millions of people, millions of young football fans around the world. And this narrative around Darwin, let's look at the last game as well, where Darwin didn't get a penalty and was kicked. And I said it at the time, this narrative from Neville and others, this lazy take on simulation and diving, does have a knock-on effect, and it does form a narrative around players. And I think Gary Neville needs to just tone it down with Liverpool, because I don't hear the same from Carragher on United. I don't. I think he is able to credit them for some good stuff. But Neville is just... he's not very easy to sit through if you're a Liverpool fan. And, you know, I say that with the greatest respect for the man, because I do believe he's capable of wonderful punditry. But he does my fucking head in. Anthony, 86 million. Darwin, 64 million. Let's be honest though, Robert. Darwin won't cost us 64 million. He'll cost us upwards of that. Probably closer to 80 when everything is done and dusted. Did you hear him when Saka scored the first goal? And it was a good goal. Saka took it really well. But the way Neville was celebrating it, it was telling. I don't know when he just developed this soft spot for Arsenal, but the club that he went head to head with every season for league titles are all of a sudden now his second favourite team by the sounds of it. It's weird. Paul said, you say that about Gary Neville, but we have to listen to Souness. I've called out Souness, Paul. I've called out Graham Souness many times on here for nonsense. And you don't really have to listen to him anymore because he's not on Sky anymore. But I get where you're coming from. Absolutely. I'm not saying that... like, this isn't a whataboutery situation, mate. Like, I'm just giving you my take on Gary Neville. If you want to get into the greater conversation around punditry and is there any Liverpool biases, I'm sure that there are. And Souness did have some very harsh takes, especially around Pogba. He wants so bad to be a fan of a successful club, said Mart. Just don't let Neville commentate on our games, said Fawzi. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of Liverpool fans would want. Because we thought we were lucky we got rid of Martin Tyler. And then we got Neville in. And now we have to listen to Neville. Now, Peter Drury, top notch. Could listen to Peter Drury all day. Fantastic. One of the best commentators in the game. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes on something. So let's check in on this poll. Who is the easiest to replace from Trent, Virgil and Mo? We've had over 500 votes, so we'll leave that up for a little bit longer to see if we can get it up to 1,000. If you haven't voted, please do, because it'll be interesting to see your thoughts on this one. Arabic commentary is the best. Yeah, some of the Arabic commentary is deadly. It is. Some of the South American stuff's cool as well. Do you know that? Do you remember that Messi goal, 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 Messi goal? Some of that stuff I love. I'm a fan of old school. Go Lazio! I love all that stuff. Over the top stuff. Anthony said, I just wonder what he would say if we won the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm sure he'd find some way of talking about how it was an easy season, or somebody else wasn't at their best and Liverpool capitalised on that, and some rubbish like that. Frimpong is such an easy choice to bring in for Trent if he goes. I wouldn't agree with that, because I don't think they're similar types of fullback. In fact, one's a wing back / winger and the other's a right back. So I don't agree on Frimpong. I'm not saying he couldn't be pushed backwards, but if you're basing it off the way Frimpong plays now and where he plays now, he doesn't really defend much at right back. He's more of an attacker. So, yeah, I would disagree. He'd say we didn't face any tough opponents yet. Yeah, after playing 38 games, you're right. He probably will come out with something like that. It still makes me laugh though that he said that Solanke was going to be, I think it was him or Carragher, said Solanke's going to be the biggest difference maker this season, or the signing with the most impact in the Premier League. And then he goes on to say where he thinks Spurs are going to finish. And the signing that's going to have the biggest impact of all the business in the Premier League was going to make Spurs somehow finish worse than the season before in Gary Neville's predictions. No joined up thinking there. So he's going to come in, he's going to be the best signing of the whole summer with the biggest impact on his club. Here we're going to go backwards from the season before. Gotcha. How much you paid again? Do you get trick-or-treaters in Ireland? Yes, but it's very, 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 very much dwindled in the last 10 or 15 years. Like, we could get 10, if we're lucky, knocks on the door. And I live in a housing estate, like, so you would expect lots. But yeah, it's a lot less than it used to be around. I don't know if kids are just, if I don't know, candy or sweets aren't as much anymore, because, you know, we all give our kids a lot more. Well, I certainly would than I was given as a kid. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it certainly feels like it's dying away a bit. Feels like, in some weird ways, Halloween has been hijacked by adults a little bit. Keep an eye on Tanaka plays for Leeds. Endo, Japan teammate, looks outstanding so far. Kieran wants Wirtz. I just can't see us paying the money for Wirtz. What's this one from Mark? Right, so the league game against Brighton this weekend, not tomorrow, the league game against Brighton on Saturday. Tony Harrington is going to be the ref. Scott Ledger and Adrian Holmes are going to be the officials. Fourth official, Bobby Madley, and Chris Kavanagh is going to be on VAR for the game at the weekend against Brighton. Tam said, hey Craig, great show. thank you. Appreciate you. It's only a good show because of you guys. You know, I couldn't come on here and talk for 2 hours. I need you guys to interact with it. Jobo said, Drury is too much, completely unnecessary to go to Shakespeare in a football match. I can understand where you're coming from. And sometimes listening to Peter Drury, I'm in absolute awe of the man's brilliance. And other times I do feel perhaps he's trying to work in a phrase or something that he had prepared. And that's understandable as well. But I do appreciate where you're coming from. He does at times feel a little bit much, but still, I could listen to him all the time, to be honest. I just really like Peter Drury. Dak, much love, my man. Said the best LFC channel. Thanks for all. Thank you. But I want to add something into what you've said. Also the most watched in the world, which I take great pride in. We aren't the most subscribed to. That falls to Red Men TV, and fair play. But we are the most watched. Which, for a guy that isn't from the city, that has never even gotten so much as an acknowledgement from the club or access to an interview, a player, being written about in a newspaper, and had no leg up, built this with Connor and you guys from the ground up to be the most watched Liverpool fan channel in the world is absolutely mind-boggling to us. And I've said this to you guys before, I have massive imposter syndrome. I don't know what, I think you're all fucking nuts to watch, but I appreciate it. Didn't Halloween originate from Ireland? I mean, I have some vague recollections of in my history class learning about Sauron, and I can't remember the Irish phrase of it. It comes from All Hallows Eve, doesn't it? Which is like a pagan ritual, if I'm not mistaken. No, Craig, it's you. Seriously. What's me? Oh, if we're talking about commentators. Oh, look, I couldn't do what Peter Drury and that do. I couldn't do the professional stuff. I need to be able to swear. I couldn't commentate without swearing. What will happen with Bajcetic if we bring in a DM? It's a very fair question, but I think there's two ways to look at the situation. One, do you take that risk that you don't bring in a Zubamendi or somebody else and hope that Stefan Bajcetic develops into the player we know he could become, and hope that he doesn't pick up injuries and knocks? Or do you bring in somebody else and then you still have a great option there to rotate in, to learn from these guys? It is a balancing act, but if I'm being really honest with you, I've had more than enough of Liverpool risking or going for the if everything comes the best case scenario. I think it's cost us in recent years. So I think we need to just go out there and let them have the argument that we've got too many good players in one position rather than not enough. So I would say, agree with you on Bajcetic being a talent, but still want the here and now players. And I still think we need that midfielder. Could you go over the title? Let me see. What's Connor put for the title? Oh, Gyokeres. Yeah, 1 second, mate. No problem. Let me just grab the note for you. So, a report from Florian Plettenberg said that Liverpool are one of the clubs interested in signing Viktor Gyokeres. Despite a release clause set at €100 million, there is an agreement that he can leave Sporting for next summer for about 60 or 70 million. And then on top of that, we spoke about a report from Alex Crook that said Carlos Baleba is a long-standing target for top Premier League clubs, including Liverpool. And then we spoke a little bit about the fact that he joined Brighton in 2023 from Lille for about 23 million quid. He's 20 years of age and already gaining admirers from a lot of top European clubs. Jim Bull said, would like to see Rio Nyamoha on the bench tomorrow. I don't think he's ready, Jim, to be honest, mate. I think he's a good while away from being ready. I think tomorrow I'd like to see Neoni either get minutes or be on the bench. Nalo probably get a call up maybe. Other than that, I don't know. Morton will get minutes. Endo will get minutes. I struggled to put together an 11 and rest player, so my 11's a bit mad. I won't lie. If you've watched the video, I get it. It's a bit mad. But here's what I would do now, knowing Bradley might be available to start. If I had to pick a team right now and Bradley can start, I would go... I don't mind the keeper, Yarosh or Kelleher, whomever the manager wants. Then at right back, I would go Bradley. Then I would go Kwanzaa and Gomez, Costas at left back, Endo, Morton, and Jones in midfield. Soboslai on the right. Who do I put on the left of my team? Diaz on the left and Gakpo through the middle. Because I think we need to rest up Darwin. That's what I do. I think we need to rest Darwin, Salah, Kanade, Virgil. And we do have to play some forwards because we just don't have enough options. Jobo said, we're here because you're good at what you do, but also we can tell that you're a good man. Thank you, bro. Do you know what? I can't wait for the show in 2 weeks and 3 days. We're going to be back over in Liverpool at the Hot Water Comedy Club. And I love meeting up with everybody over there and be able to put faces to the names that I see and chat with each night. So if you can come along, you've probably seen this poster put up many times, but 2 weeks to go now until we're back. With everyone you can see on the screen there. Paddy Doyle's going to do us a musical set. Carl Porter's doing a stand-up comedic set, and myself and Connor will be there as well. You can get your tickets with the link at the top of the chat or in the description of this video. And also a little update. Today we've officially signed off on our biggest ever brand deal with Manscaped, who we'll be working with now until I think this covers the next 20 games. So I want to say thank you to you all for helping us get to that point. It's the biggest, look, it's our biggest brand deal ever. I'm sure that it's been dwarfed by many other content creators, but it was a big deal for us. So to get that signed off today is huge. So much love to everybody for your support of that, and anyone who's used that code on Manscaped as well. Thank you. Do you think there's a chance for Neoni to play? Absolutely. Now, whether he plays from the start or comes off the bench, I certainly expect Neoni to be in and around the squad tomorrow. 100%. Get that house paid off. It's nowhere near house money, mate. It's our biggest, but it's, you know, it's not life-changing amounts of money or anything, but it's great for us. It gives us a nice base for the next few months, and yeah, I'm just very grateful to have the support of a brand like Manscaped, who we've worked with for years, and of course Surfshark are other great partners as well. Just these are moments that I think we as a community should mark together, and I'm very grateful for it, because I know you guys watch some of these videos and you're like, fucking again with the ad reads, lads, but you know, it means a lot to us that you stick with us. Do you think the club do business in January? I'm unsure, and that's the God's honest truth. I'm unsure. I can see it. I can think we need to do business in January. Yes, I still want that midfielder, and I think the conversation for a left back is going to move forward a bit as well. But I just don't know what to expect in January. But I've said this at the start of the stream, and I'll say it again. If they think contract extensions are going to be enough to win everybody over and forget about transfers, I'm not going to let that slide. Because these contract extensions should have been done a long time ago, and you're not getting credit and a big pat on the back and an attaboy for doing what should have been done a long time ago. I still don't understand how we haven't even got one of them deals done yet. It feels weird. Can you see Connor becoming as good as Trent? I don't think he'll ever have the ball striking ability of Trent, because I don't think many do. But I think he will be an equally as good fullback and equally as important to our team from a right back viewpoint. But I don't think he'll ever have the dead ball or ball striking ability of a Trent, because not many do. I whooped you a fuck golf, so there's a chance I get as good as Trent. He did. Me and Connor, I think it was last year, went to play a game of foot golf, and young Crosby certainly won that by a country mile. So yeah. By the way, if you ever have a chance to play it, go and give it a go. It's great fun. It's a very interesting idea and creation, but yeah, it was fun. Certainly, it was a good afternoon out. If anybody ever considers doing it, it's good fun. Right. Ladies and gents, I'm going to say goodnight. Yeah, I'm going to say goodnight because I got to get ready for tomorrow as well. So we're going to be starting from 6:15 tomorrow because the game starts at 7:30. So if you want to join us for the watch along, we'll be here for the watch along. We'll have our match reaction, our player ratings video, and everything else that we do. Appreciate you all. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button for me before you head off. Drop a like on the stream. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves.